Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special Island Stat Sports Talk. I'm your host, Earl Basted. Joining me are none other than the Bermuda Day Half Marathon champions in show and trot, and Gail Lindsay. First of all, to both of you, congratulations. We know how difficult that this race day can be in the lead up and actually on the day. So I want to kind of reflect a little back on Thursday night going into Friday morning kind of thing. Obviously, everybody's got an eye out on what the weather's supposed to be like and so forth. So, Sean, give us a sense of what Thursday night was like for you in looking forward to what would be the outcome on Friday.
Yeah, sure. The first part of the night was fueling up. So, putting in a few bowls of pasta for sure, making sure I was ready to go. Another thing I really like to do is to actually go and drive the parts of the course the night before, just to get a last look at everything, just so I'm mentally prepared for it.
Yeah, and Gail, what was Thursday night like for you?
So I think a lot of people can probably relate to kind of the pre-race nerves, and suddenly everything starts to not feel great, and you start to feel a little niggle in your calf or in your hamstring. So there was kind of a bit of just trying to settle the nerves and just stay calm. And yeah, as Sean says, it's otherwise just going through the motions of getting your nutrition, getting a good night's sleep, and yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously, I'm not sure if you heard it, but I woke up to rain at about 4:00 in the morning.
That's right.
And my first thought is, oh my gracious, if this stops, it's going to be a humid morning. Did any of you hear the rain? Early hours of the morning.
Yes, I definitely was woken up by it. So that did play a bit of a factor, but I'd been in bed pretty early that night, so that didn't give me too much issue with sleep.
Right. What about you, Gail? You slept right through?
Oh no, I heard it.
Well, okay. So now we get to the morning. It's time to fuel up.
Yeah.
Get yourself to that start line. Get yourself in St. George. Do the warm ups and so forth. Are you people that like to warm up by yourself, like get away from distractions, do your own thing, or are you in a group of people to kind of take the nerves away? Gail, you can go first.
Sure. So my race morning actually ended up being a little bit stressful. I'm one of these people that likes to get to places early and to give myself time. And the ferry was late on leaving, so we didn't actually arrive into St. George's until I was getting off the boat at 8:05, trying to be ready to get to the start line for 8:30. So yeah, it was kind of normal procedure went out the window, and it was just do what I could in the short time that I had. But yeah, the ferry ride over was nice. I kind of like the just kind of general chit chat to take my mind off of what's coming, and then once I get warming up, I prefer to just kind of be by myself and get in my zone and do what I need to do and focus. So yeah.
Sure. What about you, Sean?
So yeah, similar to Gail, it was a bit of a different thing happened that would usually happen. I usually go into the Tiger Bay side of St. George's, and I kind of stay down that side away from the crowds. And usually there's like the ferry terminal there with the bathrooms that I like to stay by. Those were locked. And so when I got there, I kind of had to switch my approach up and go into the town square. And there's a lot of crowds there. So I was immediately immersed in everything. And I ended up finding a quiet space in Sir George Somers, the park there, the gardens that I was able to find. But yeah, I was kind of on my toes a bit trying to figure out what to do.
Well, one thing's for sure, it's either going to panic you or distract you, because you keep looking at your watch, starting time, your countdown and so forth. What have I missed in my warm up? What else do I have to do in the warm up? and then you start thinking, okay, what do I have to do that first mile to add to my warm up to kind of and not be out of the race kind of thing. So the race starts for you, Sean,
Mhm.
and Gail for that matter. The pace early on, was it something where you wanted to control, or you was just about to let it go and see where the chips fell after mile maybe 1 or 2?
So yeah, going in this year, I said that I was going to be patient, particularly with the course, the way it runs from St. George's being flat. I didn't want to get ahead of myself and let myself get pulled along too much. So you would have seen that I was sitting back early, just letting the other guys dictate. So I was in my head, I was saying, as long as we're slower than say 5:20, I'm just going to sit back. And if it's faster than that, I'm just going to let them go.
Right. What about you, Gail?
Yes, similar. So actually, on the ferry over, we looked at the weather and saw it was sitting at 92% humidity, and I know that that's brutal. So I wanted to try and make sure that my pace in those first few kilometers wasn't too fast, that I was then going to blow up later on in the race. So yeah, I tried to more just see what the other runners did and kind of follow based on that.
Yeah. Gail, let me ask you, because I think it will be a little more difficult for someone such as you, because although you might be not up front, but you're in a group of people that kind of their pace you try to emulate a little. Could that be a little distracting at times, because you're in a pack chasing, everybody's chasing the front runners kind of thing, and their pace can go up and down, up and down. What do you do to make sure that you stay focused on what you're doing and let all those other people, especially the men, go do what they're doing?
Yeah, so for me, it was kind of a two-horse race between me and Christine, and so I knew I didn't want to let her get too far away. I've done that before, and then it just creates a lot of work later on in the race. So my plan this year was to try and just keep her kind of within close proximity, and I wasn't really too worried about what the other guys around us were doing.
Yeah. Sean, you get to the first roundabout heading up the causeway. What's your thought plan? Because you still have that long first lot of causeway, Stern Crusher Corner, and then the bridge itself before you start to head up that track to up by Swizzle Inn. But what's your thought when you hit that roundabout?
Hitting the roundabout, yeah, I was pretty much still the same, just kind of making sure I ran myself back. But again, not trying to let people get too far ahead. The main thing was to keep contact, really. I knew that my race was really going to start once we hit Blue Hill. And so everything up there was basically an extension of my warm-up, really.
What about you, Gail? Once you got to that first roundabout, and now you and the worst part is you could see how far you got to go.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind?
Yeah, I think it was at that point you've gone over your first hill, so that felt quite nice, and still was feeling comfortable, which was kind of the aim. I was hoping to get at least to halfway point, feeling still good that I could start to pick things up. So yeah, at that point it was just kind of staying settled into a rhythm.
Yeah, you get on top of Blue Hill, Sean, and the crowd is thick.
It is.
It is. And obviously for the runner, you start to feel that energy. You feel that excitement and everything. How do you manage to control your mindset to make sure that hey, I stay within what I'm doing? I don't get too excited. Things are going the way I want them to be. So how do you make sure that you did not let the moment take over what your performance would have been?
Yeah. I guess I just kind of always was thinking about some of the previous years. I've made some of those mistakes in the past. So I kept that in the back of my mind. I could think about 2 years ago hitting Blue Hill and really getting carried along. And then I kind of blew up a little bit further up the road. So just thinking I don't want to repeat those mistakes. And that kept me from doing it.
Okay. And Gail, you find yourself in a similar position of 2 years ago. When you get to that point and the crowd is so big but you've experienced the win before. So how did you make sure that you stayed within what your plan for the entire race was at that first real challenging point?
Yeah, I think, well, firstly, the energy of the crowd is real. Like it really gives you this boost and it carries you along. So I think I just try to enjoy the crowd support from beginning to end. And so those little pockets where you've got kind of more concentrated grouping of people, they definitely give you a boost. But I was just trying to enjoy the crowd because there was basically supporters from beginning to end. So I was trying to soak up that all the way. So I didn't really let those kind of like intense moments get the better of me.
Yeah. You go through there and then you go around Bay Corner and then there comes this first real big challenge. You have a incline, a flat, and then a big incline. Strategies going over the incline. Gail, what was in your mind making sure that you executed, getting to the top of that big hill, right after, taking on a short hill and then flat?
Yeah, again, it was just contact. Trying to keep with Christine. She was running strong. She's good on the hills. So I was trying to stay relaxed, but just keep that contact. That was really all that was going through my head.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Sean? You're down the bottom of the hill. There's runners around you. You guys are out front. Everybody's screaming because you guys are the first guys to come through. Getting over that in your head, what were you telling yourself at that point?
Yeah, so once we hit the top of Blue Hill, I really started to, I would say, feel good for the first time in the race. Started to feel like I was actually starting to hit a good rhythm. So when we came around that corner to Fracture Street climbing up, I made my first real, test to test the field out, and that was where Ryan and I separated. And I felt the energy of the crowd. So I guess at that point, I was trying to feed off of the energy, but at the same time, not let myself get too far ahead of myself. It still was like 8 miles to go.
Still a long way to go.
Yeah, always.
And you're constantly looking at your watch saying, okay, I still got another 45 minutes of this race to go. Sort of thing. Yeah. But, people don't often understand challenges of races. And one of the challenges is going uphill, but also a big challenge is going downhill. So you make that big hill, you then got, some ways to go, and then you're going down kind of crawl hill. Just making sure you maintain your rhythm and so forth, and, and stay within yourself, because rhythm is a big thing. If you lose it, you could then struggle for a bit to get yourself back into it. Going downhill, Sean, especially down that hill, what are you saying to yourself and reminding yourself?
So really, I'm paying attention to what the guys around me do, because I usually personally like to attack the uphills. So that's where I usually always make my moves. But some of the guys around me like to attack the downhills. So I'm really just looking to respond. Like, so if I see someone else moving on the downhill, then I'm going to try and go with them, keep the contact. So I'm really just kind of always staying aware of what's happening. If I have to go downhill hard, I will. If not, I'll just stay in the rhythm, let the hill carry me.
Sure. And Gil, for you, the downhill rhythm, what is it like for you? Yeah,
I was just try to kind of relax and use it as a chance to recover from the uphill. I think I never used to be very good at downhill running. It's probably still not my this not the strongest part of my race, but something I've actually been working on to try and improve. So it felt relaxed.
Oh, okay. And then kind of you have inclines, but you have that long stretch, Shelley Bay and the like, especially after you go across, you come to the bottom of that hill, go across Marketplace, and you got the incline and all the way to flats kind of thing. It's deceptive of inclines, up and down, flat, and so forth. One can make a mistake, and then you got the other issue of now you're open air, because on the right side is North Shore and you're running on that open air side. As a runner, Bermuda is picturesque, and there are times where you're running, you say, wow, that really looks beautiful, but you allow yourself to take in some of those things as you're doing it. As a leader of the race, what is your focus and goal, especially when you got Flats Hill coming up in a matter of 7 minutes? Good, Gail.
There definitely wasn't too much sightseeing, I would say. Not too much daydreaming, looking at the water. And that stretch is a bit of a blur to me. I kind of the next big thing I remember is going through flats, because the crowds there are absolutely phenomenal. But so that stretch was more about just finding a nice rhythm, keeping with the group that I was with, and just enjoying some of the crowd support along that part as well.
Sure. Sean, what about you for that stretch?
Yeah. I could agree. It was a bit of a blur. I mean, I was just thinking about Whitney and even the next hill, mile 10, coming up. So again, just trying to keep contact. Ryan and I were together. So I was kind of building up in my mind for what was to come. So if anything, that's what I was doing, just building myself up for that big challenge.
Sure. Yeah, and then we approached that Flats Hill, because that that hill could last you a good. Because it doesn't. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, it's just that one hill." That hill doesn't stop until you get almost to the old liquor store that's past Whitney, down the. You know what I mean? You're still kind of running a slight incline. Is that where you think one of the biggest challenges come, because it's so long, Sean?
Definitely. I mean, that hill, the gradient, the steepness of it is just so hard, so sudden. I mean, the hills before that, they roll, but that one is just so hard. And like you said, you get to the top of that really steep portion, and then it keeps winding around the corners. So it really kind of, I've always found the last few years, your pace slows down pretty dramatically, and then you kind of got to regain that momentum again once you get right at the top. I definitely agree. That's a game changer hill.
Yeah. And Gil, you're in a pack coming along that way. Do you kind of use people around you? I mean, even Krista's pace. Are you trying to use everything around you to get you over that hill and through that portion of the race?
Yeah, I would say so. And honestly, Flats is probably one of my favorite spots in terms of crowd support along the course. And it really kind of gives you this lift. So I'd say I was kind of freewheeling up about halfway up the hill, just off of the crowd support. And then at that point, the kind of kicks in that how steep it is. So see, from then on, it was just around keeping with the people around me to keep me on pace.
Did you get a little distracted when Christine went to give a high five to her family just before you got that hill?
It caught me off guard. That was such a nice moment.
Yeah. Okay, so we're over now, Flats Hill. We're going through. We're getting to the top of the hill to come down by Old Cable and Wireless, and that's now they restart talking about uncomfortable running, a start of running, because it's so steep down the first lot, and then you get a little level, and then you go down another steep. where again, rhythm and all of that, and plus you're trying to control your body. What are you telling us after the first incline or decline, Sean? What are you telling yourself for that split? I would say, 100 yards of flat, and then you go down again.
Yeah, I mean, I was really using that hill to my advantage to regain that momentum that I would have lost going up. So I was concentrated pretty much on running that downhill hard to get my pace back, to kind of also to get some momentum so that I could push into the next uphill. You could kind of
we're gonna get to that uphill.
So yeah, I was trying to use as much energy from that downhill as I could.
Right. And Gail, the second, just past the SAL driveway and then down to Summersfield, how are you controlling your body and just trying to make sure that rhythm stays somewhat on par with what you've been doing for the race prior?
I think probably similar to the previous downhill, just trying to take it as a chance to recover from that uphill. And it's probably the first point in the race where before I'd been happy to just kind of sit back and let things happen around me. It's probably the first time that I maybe tried to just test Christine a little bit, tried to maybe kind of go up beside her and just see how she responded. So for me, that's probably where the dynamics of the race started to change.
Yeah. And then obviously we get to Devonshire Church, and there started another long track of hill and so forth. Sean, did you plan to try to make an attack on that hill? Yeah. And when did you plan that? Because obviously in the race, different things go through your mind, and you get to a point where you say, okay, now over this period of time, I need to do this, or I need to try this. When did you plan that point was going to be an attack for you?
I had planned that earlier in that week of the race, to be honest. I planned it probably on the Monday. And when I was planning my strategy, I knew, hills are always going to be my strengths, and particularly the bigger the hill, the better. So I knew if I was in a group of guys, Whitney, I was going to first test out and see if anybody came, and Ryan came on Whitney Hill. So I said, okay, then this is going to be the one. When I was in the race, I said, this is going to be the one. And I just prepared to go. And interestingly enough, at that point, at the corner by Island Construction, one of these spectators came right out in the road and shouted in my face, you can't do this. You can't win it. You can't, you're not going to beat him. And I said, okay, well, that's just the fuel I need for this. Let's go.
You have to go back and find that fan and tell him thank you very much. Yeah. But okay, Gail, when did you plan to make your move? Because it almost was identical where you guys kind of decided, you know what, let me put the hammer down and let me see what happens. So when did you plan to make your move?
So I was probably the complete opposite of Sean. Mine was about 2 minutes before I made it. I was just kind of seeing how the race unfolded, and I think I just kind of tested Christine a couple of times, and each time she responded with a little surge, and then at this point there wasn't the same response. So for me, that was kind of cue to let's go.
Yeah. You get to the top of the hill, past by the Arboretum, and you're going down that slight incline. Sean, when do you look back to see how far you have, bridged that gap to start to feel comfortable, at least until you get down Lane Hill?
Right. I can't say that I looked back, but I was kind of going off of how I could hear the crowd behind me, and people were telling me, you got a gap. And so that was where I was really using the downhills there. When I came off that slight incline, I was like, let's not let up. When we get to the top, let's just keep it going. And I carried that right down Lane Hill, right to Front Street.
Yeah. And Gail, obviously, it's a little more difficult for you, Gail, only because you have so many other people around you. I mean, you could hear the noise for you. You could hear the noise for other runners. but that could also be the other noise for Christine. So you're not really sure what that gap is, are you?
Yeah, I think definitely was able to use the noise to some extent, and then otherwise it was just a case of just kind of going off my gut of going as hard as I could.
Sure.
Yeah.
You get on to Front Street. You're running past the cabinet office, and then now there's thousands lining the street. Emotions start to go through because now you're probably 3 miles from the finish line.
So mile 11 was at the top of Lane Hill. So Front Street was probably like 11 and a half. So you're getting close to mile and a half. So.
Two and a bit. Obviously, you're still thinking, okay, Queen Street Hill. I've still got to go up Church Street a little bit and then make that turn. But the rest of the race is primarily all about emotion because it's like downhill, making sure that you do everything right down Dutton Avenue, and then obviously up the hill there. But take us through your thoughts of Front Street and running through there, because that would have been like I said, an emotion part of the race, because it wasn't the course is not a physical challenge at that time. It's more of an emotional challenge. How did you deal with it, Gail?
Yeah, so my sister was actually here to support me on the race, and so
good luck.
Yeah, she was standing at the gas station, and so coming down onto Front Street and or onto that street, and just seeing her there supporting that, that definitely gave me a boost. And then from there on, I think knowing that I'd created a bit of a gap, I just relaxed and I just enjoyed that stretch so much. The crowd was incredible, and I think I was smiling literally the whole way down.
And for you, Sean, being in that position, primarily the first time being in that position, and you're trying to keep that emotion and everything because you still have that finish line to get to.
Yes. So I will say, unlike Gail, I probably was running a bit scared. I didn't enjoy it, I think, as much on that point because, like I said, I'd run so hard down Lane Hill into Front Street, and I got down to maybe Supermart, and I started to kind of feel the effort of that long climb and the downhill. And I almost started to feel like I was tightening up at one point. And I was like, oh man, please don't get a cramp, or don't go into like, don't lose this. So on Front Street, I was honestly just trying to stay relaxed and just focusing on keeping things comfortable again, because Queen Street was coming. And that would be where I actually did look back when I made that turn onto Queen Street. I kind of caught a look back. And I saw, he was still not too far back. So then I said, all right, let's attack Queen Street and Church Street one last hill.
Right. Yeah. Getting over those two final, we'll call them the final inclines of because it's a stretch that you have to do and sort of thing. Getting over there, is that more taxing on the body or on the mind? Because after running so long, eventually the mind starts to you start to think of different things and so forth. Was that last two hills, were they more taxing on the body or the mind for you, Sean?
Probably more the body. Like I said, I was really trying not to tighten up too much, and I was feeling different things, tightening up a bit in my body. But that uphill kind of changed the momentum from running down Front Street, and I was able to feel good again by the time I hit Cedar Avenue. So it worked out well.
What about you, Gail? Is that more on the mind or on the body?
I think this year was different for me compared to last year. So in fact, the last 2 years I've been involved in a kind of race down Front Street running neck and neck against someone else. And at that point, it's probably more mental because you're pushing yourself to your limit. This year, I would say was more physical because it was just me at that point, and it was more just try. I was saying, don't do anything silly. Just get yourself to the finish line.
Okay, you go down Cedar Avenue and crowd roaring and all of that. You take all of that in. You make that turn good on Dotton Avenue, and then up the hill past the community center onto Court Street. Sean, when did you feel the race was over for you? At which point, at some point in time, you've got to say to yourself, "Okay, this is it." Where was that?
I didn't really look back after Queen Street turning onto there, so I honestly didn't know. And then I think when I made that final turn onto Angle Street there at the top, and I looked and I was nobody there. I was like, okay, let's enjoy this last little bit. That was when I finally felt it, you know.
Enjoy.
And it was good. It was good. Actually, one of my feet kind of was starting to cramp a bit in that end, so I didn't get to run in as strong maybe as I would have liked, but I made it in nonetheless.
What about you, Gail? I mean, you've been in the position before, but when did you realize, okay, number 3 is here?
So when we were turning onto down past where the old finish line is.
Dutton Avenue.
Dutton Avenue, yeah. And then I just heard one of the commentators say on the truck in front of me something. I wonder if she realizes how far ahead she is. And then I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was that far ahead. So for me, it was way at that point.
Oh, okay. All right. Sean, I'll take you back. I guess you were still in your teens because you were in high school,
right?
And you had run the race. You had done well, and people were saying, you were the next. You went through trials, tribulations with injuries and so forth. You fought your way back. How emotional was it for you going across that finish line after? When I say the gap, because I mean, I've seen you through the trials and now back at running and the smiles back kind of thing. But how emotional was it for you to go through that finish line, accomplishing something you I guess envisioned many years ago?
Yeah, of course. And it was very emotional. I mean, I don't think the emotion really hit me, to be honest, till much later. Like just watching everybody around me get emotional was what I think made me more emotional.
Right.
I mean, I think I saw Nick Jones crying. I mean, I've never seen that before in my life. So I mean, something like that, and having my family running out and everything, it was really special. I think afterwards, when I stopped and thought about it all, that's when I finally was hit by the emotion.
Yeah. And Gail, just knowing that you've put your name on the record books for 3 consecutive years, how emotional was that going across the line for you?
Yeah, it was very special, and I think a lot of people have started to hear now, but I did make the decision to leave Bermuda. So knowing that was, I don't know, maybe I'll come back at some point in the future, but knowing that that's potentially my last one, definitely made it more special.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to wish you all the best in whatever you decide to do. Bermuda will hold you special with your name on our, beloved half marathon trophy. Sean, when you start to reflect, because you've had a few days now, and it's obviously no matter where you go now, everybody knows who Sean Trott is. So it'll be difficult not to stop and have a conversation kind of thing. But what has the weekend been like for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. Like my family just coming around, and we've had a few dinners and things together. Just even in the neighborhood, just having the people come out in the yards to greet you coming home and stuff like that. A lady in the neighborhood I grew up back in, she baked me some cookies. Like, it's just been really special. Like, just seeing all of that. Like, I mean, these people, they call you one of their own. It's like, you know, you're a part of their lives just as much as you are theirs. So yeah, it just was really special, and it's just been soaking it all in.
Yeah. Gail, now just hearing that you know, you said that this would have been your last Bermuda Day half marathon. Did that weigh on your head prior to the race that you wanted to go out as a champion?
Yeah, it was. I feel like there was definitely a little bit of added pressure there of knowing that would have been the nicest way to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sean, you got a chance to look across and see someone, okay, like Ryan, who is now considered being in your position a few years ago, where you got all this potential, you're running, you're young, you're doing so much, but it's not your turn yet. So what advice would you have for someone like Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, just keep at it. Never lose sight of the goal. Sometimes there's naysayers and people that say stuff, and there's a lot of noise that can really be around you. But as long as you know what your goal is, don't stop pushing for it. Keep going, keep getting to that wicket, and the runs will come, as I've heard many say. You just got to keep putting yourself back out there, and you never know unless you try.
Yeah. And Gail, your message to someone like Christine?
Yeah, same thing. I think just if you really want it and you're willing to put in the hard work, then just keep trying. But I think you have to enjoy the process as well. I think sometimes if you get too caught up in the result of one race, then you kind of lose sight of or lose enjoyment in the process of it. So I think as long as you enjoy your training and you enjoy running, then regardless of the result, you'll still get something from that.
Okay, all right. I'm going to ask you both this question. What do you take from this Bermuda Day half marathon that would stay with you for the remainder of your life? And it's going to be you first, Gail.
Oh gosh, I think it really is knowing that. I mean, I put this in a post that I shared yesterday, but knowing that dreams can come true if you're willing to work for them. And I feel like I proved that to myself this year and over the past 3 years.
And for you, Sean?
I would say just really experiencing the community and group of people, supporters that I have behind me. Just really seeing everybody come and be so supportive afterwards and just flood me with so many different things, messages, calls, all of that. Like, it's just been so surreal just seeing how many people are really in my corner. That I'll always remember that.
All right. Well, I want to say again, congratulations to you both. Gail, you will be a miss.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed covering your races over the years. Kind of sad I haven't been able to get out to see you guys in person because when you share a ride with someone, you feel part of the ride and you feel part of what they've been able to accomplish, as well as you, Sean. Hopefully I can get back out there and be able to see you guys. Hopefully I see you before you go, Gail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. We'll stay in touch. But again, congratulations. You both deserve the accolades that come your way. It's been a journey. But the thing is, we always have to remember the journey that got us to that finish line where you were able to break the tape and become a champion. So remember those challenging times and enjoy them, because that's what made you who you are today, the 2025 Bermuda Day Half Marathon champions. Okay?
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Earl.
Thank you.
Enjoy your night.
Right, you
You
too.
too.